Greetings and welcome to another episode of Veterans of the Cedar Valley. My name is Tom Haggerty. I'll be your host today. In the previous shows that we've had on the Veterans of the Cedar Valley, we've interviewed World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraqi veterans, and other subjects of interest to veterans. And hopefully those shows have been very worthwhile. I understand that we're one of the largest viewing audiences for our cable network here. In the studio today, I'm happy to welcome Yolando Loveless, who is our brand new Veterans Affairs Director. And welcome to the studio, Yolando.
Thank you.
And right off the bat, I understand you like to be called Yo.
I do.
Okay.
That's a Navy call sign, kind of like.
Okay, so with your permission, we'll use your name Yo. But Yolando, before we get into the selection process for the Director of Veterans Affairs, tell us a little bit about your background, where you went to school, and that before, and then I'll get back on you.
Sure. So thank you for having me on. So I'm originally from Black Hawk County, or Waterloo, Iowa. Went to school at East High. I'm an East High alum, 82 alum. My dad and my brother, they're both Hall of Famers of East High, but Yolando didn't make that. But after leaving in 82, I joined the Navy in 84. And from the Navy, I found my clique, and that was to ride on ships and sail this great ocean and defend this great country. So I ended up doing that for 30 years in circumference. And so I spent 30 years in the Navy. And then after that, I got out of the Navy, retired in 15, started working for a veteran call center. There was a 4-star general in Atlanta that had a veterans call center. And his emphasis was how to providing support for transitioning veterans back into the community. And so I was a call taker that rose all the way up to the director. And so I enjoyed that job too, working with about 100 veterans in a call center, me and my wife at that particular time, Chiquita. And then what we did was, something told me to, hey, Dad and Mom's back home. We've been gone a long time. Let's go back to the great state of Iowa. So we made a decision, me and my wife, we just sat down one day over coffee, said, hey, it's about time to go back home and spend more time with Mom and Dad while they're still living. So we made that big decision and came back home.
At what point did you get yourself involved with the Veterans Affairs Office? Were you hired there? Did you work there? Or what was your calling to help there?
So when I first got back to Waterloo, I started working at the post office. And that gave me an opportunity to transition back and get acclimated with Waterloo, because 35 years, Waterloo has totally changed. So the post office allowed me to do that. But then there was an opening for that veterans job as a office specialist. And I interviewed for the job, and Kevin accepted me. And that was about June of last year. And I got an opportunity to work in that job under the direction of Kevin Deal, and enjoyed it and seeing the passion that he has, and so it's now invested in Yolando.
And you mentioned the word Kevin Dill, and he just recently resigned due to a health problem. And a lot of veterans in the Cedar Valley appreciate what Kevin did for them in the time that he was the director. And I know that he's probably passed that off to you, his zeal for helping the veterans, and the way that he assisted them to get their benefits. We won't spend a lot of time about Kevin because we want to spend time about you.
Sure.
But in the office complex of the Veterans Affairs Office, what did you handle? Did you have intake from veterans? What?
So I was the first line of defense, so say. So every veteran that came to our window came and they seen Yolando. But Kevin instilled in, he empowers his employees. So I was over the relief program. So when our veterans came in and they needed food bags, I assisted there. He had me going out in the nursing homes, visiting with veterans there. And so he got us acclimated in the process I was part of the picnics in the park. Really enjoyed that. Look forward to doing that again this summer. Starting in about May the 16th or so, we'll start that. So here's a guy who had a tremendous amount of knowledge and wealth and passion for serving veterans. And so you can always learn. And so that's what I did, is I got there, watched Kevin in action, and I learned from him. Of course, you know, being a 30-year Navy guy, learning from a Marine, we josh that a lot because we normally give the Marines a ride. But in this case, Kevin was able to instill something in Yolando that Yolando didn't see in himself, and that is have compassion for your brother man, and he showed that to me.
One thing I'd like to understand myself is the Blackhawk County Veterans Affairs Office, which you are now the director of. Is it just for Blackhawk County, or do you have other areas that you cover, other counties?
So we cover just Blackhawk County. That's what we paid for.
Okay.
But one of the things that we tell others throughout is that if you're from another county and you need assistance, come to Blackhawk County. We're here to serve. We don't turn any veteran away, no matter what county they are. The unique thing about the VA system, we got 99 counties, so you have 99 veteran service officers in each county. But some counties, because of their population, they're only allowed to work 20 hours a week or 30 hours a week. So there's sometimes veterans who are seeking help at a particular time that maybe that office is closed, and they can come to Blackhawk County and they'll get service. We're open full time.
What is the mix of veterans that you deal with in the office? You know, like, are they younger vets, older vets? What war era are you dealing with?
So Tom, for the most part, it's Vietnam veterans, and the Agent Orange. I was just in Waverly 2 weeks ago with Agent Orange. They had a seminar about that. So our populace is the Vietnam vet. We still have our Korean vet, but they're up in age about 90 years old. Our Vietnam vets are about anywhere from 80 and 70. And then what we're trying to do is find those Gulf War I vets, those Desert Storm vets, get them in. Right now in Waterloo, the Blackhawk County area, when the last statistics or census, it says we have about 8,000 to 9,000 vets. We're looking forward to the 2020 census because I want to see exactly how many we have and we haven't touched. And so, but right now it's been Vietnam, Korea, and then some Gulf War, and there's more out there, and we're trying to reach them.
So you mentioned the number of veterans, and tell me again what it was. How many veterans are in Blackhawk County?
It's anywhere from 8,000 to 9,000. So anywhere from about 8,500 if we were to take it in percent.
How many of those veterans has your office worked with up to this date?
Well, in the 3 years that Kevin was there, he touched 9,000 veterans by statistics. But those are coming in and going out the door. So we constantly have a wave of coming back, returning home from their service and retiring. So in the last year, if we look at, we average about 200 to 250 at the high point a month. So you're looking at least 1,600 that we touched in a year. And so we want to carry that on.
And where is your office?
So our office is located in the Pinecrest building. It's 1407 Independence Avenue. It's in Waterloo. And we do have that satellite shop that's in Cedar Falls at the, is that the DOT building or?
Public Works.
The Public Works building.
Yeah.
We have a satellite shop. We're reevaluating that, Tom, right now to see what our return on investment is that. But if we get a large number of veterans that want to retain themselves in Cedar Falls, whether it's a challenge for driving, as a handicap, we'll open up that office as I get firmer in this position.
You mentioned that you went out to nursing homes to visit and work with veterans. If those veterans had a claim in that nursing home, how do you handle that? Do you personally go out there, help them fill out their paperwork? Do they have to come down to your office? How?
No, so we make exceptions for any veteran that is handicapped, disabled, or in a nursing home in that capacity. What we do is we'll go out to that nursing home and we'll fill out the paperwork with that veteran or his spouse or family member that has power of attorney to help that veteran out. Myself, Michelle is another one, and Stacy. Between us, we'll go out there and serve that veteran. We have right now is something that Yolando implemented was never forget. And in that never forget philosophy is let's get out in our nursing homes and touch our veterans that are in our nursing homes. And so each month we're going out to a particular nursing home. Michelle's heading it up. And what we're doing at those nursing homes is we're going through and speaking to those veterans that are in their nursing homes and the widows that might be in a nursing home, just to say, hey, we're here to support you. We haven't forgot you. And oh, by the way, here's a little toiletry bag that you can use with puzzles and things of that nature in there.
The first time I went to visit the Veterans Affairs office, I couldn't find it. I mean, I need GPS just to get around, but it's in the Pinecrest building on Independence Avenue. But where?
So as you make your entrance in the parking lot in the front door of the Pinecrest building, if you look to your left, right by the elevator, there's a big giant sign that we have saying Veterans Affairs. And we're on the first floor, located on the left, and we have arrows and signs that point you right back to us. And if you're in need of special assistance, we have motorized wheelchair, and we have a motorized scooter, so we can meet veterans at the door and give them that assistance to come back to where we are.
Well, that's good to know, especially with the elderly vets who, I know the Pinecrest building is handicap accessible, yes. But trying to find your way back into that. We've arrived at the halfway point, believe it or not, Yolando, and we're going to take a break here and come back and complete our interview of you about being the new Veterans Director of Black Hawk County.
Sure, thank you.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the second half of Veterans of the Cedar Valley. My name is Tom Haggerty. I'm your host. And in the studio today, my guest is Yolando Loveless, who likes to be called Yo, so I got to remember that. And we're visiting with him about his new position as the Veterans Director of the Veterans Affairs Office for Black Hawk County. And Yolando, before we went on break, I was asking you about the Veterans Affairs Office and the location. And I goes, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what does the Veterans Affairs Office do for veterans? What's our mission?
So our mission is to, for every veteran that's eligible, we want to seek and help them with their benefits. So we're based off of a commission and endeavor to assist honorably discharged veterans and their dependents with respect to judicially promoting communication, cooperation, education between the veterans, the legislators, and the public and private sector to ensure that the needs of our veterans and their dependents are met. So in a nutshell, we're there to make sure that every veteran has an opportunity to seek his benefits. If it's a veteran that needs a pension, we'll help them with a pension. If it's a widow, we'll help her with a pension. If it's a dependent, we'll help them with a pension. If there's a deceased veteran, we'll help with burial benefits, we'll help with a grave marker, we'll help assist with getting the burial flag, and if they need assistance with honor, some kind of honor guard, we can help them assisting them with that. Then the last thing, our biggest thing is financial need. So we're just coming off a very rough winter. If there's a veteran in need of getting his utilities paid or assistance with that, we're there to do that. We have a food pantry that we give out about 35 food bags a month to the Cedar Valley area. So that's very successful, but it's on the back of our community. Our community makes donations to our food bank, and that's what keeps our food bank stocked, and we're able to give to other veterans.
Well, as a veteran, my wife tells me I'm hard of hearing. Can you help me with that, or do I have to go to a hearing doctor if I can't afford that, for example? Can I come to the veterans office and get help on that?
So yes, Tom. So what we'll do is we'll do a claim for your hearing loss. And then what happens is they'll go down to Des Moines and the regional officer will get that. They'll set up what they call a comp and pen exam, and they'll either do that here at the outpatient clinic in Waterloo, or they'll send you down to Iowa City, whichever is available. You'll do your comp and pen exam. They'll make that assessment and make that determination based off your hearing loss, and based off of that, they'll compensate you. If it's approved, they'll compensate you. And what's the unique thing about that, Tom, is as veterans come in and seek pensions or benefits for compensation, that money comes directly back into the Black Hawk County community. So we're out there saying, please come in, see us, see if you're eligible for a benefit, because we know that that's going to regenerate money throughout this Black Hawk County.
When I was working with veterans at the AMVETS and the American Legion post here in Cedar Falls, I'd ask people who are veterans, I says, why don't you go find out about veterans benefits?
Yeah.
And they would be adamantly opposed to it. And somebody finally told me one time that they're just too proud. In Iowa, we're too proud to ask for assistance. Yeah. How do you answer, or how do you work with somebody that's just too proud to come in and ask for help?
And that's a tough one, Tom. I get that from a lot of the spouses of veterans, particularly World War II and the Vietnam veterans, who they're a different breed of a veteran. Our country put them out there in situations that they've seen some things that, that are, to me, that I wish Yolando had that fortitude and that brave heart to do the things that they did. And then they come back saying, well, that was my job. And so what I tell widows, or what I tell, not widows, but what I tell spouses or veterans in that situation is to say, Tom, you earned this. This is something the country's giving back. They asked you to do something that was something different, something unique. You had to sacrifice. You had to spend time away from your family. And so this is something that you're entitled to. And it's not where you're taking away from someone. This is something where the government's saying, hey, thank you for your service, and this is what we need to provide to you.
Speaking of a widow, if a veteran passes away, is the widow entitled to any, or is the veteran entitled to anything like burial expenses, headstones, markers, that kind of stuff after the funeral, or is there help for that?
There is, and it depends on the veteran and what the veteran did. If he was a wartime veteran, if he was 100% disabled, there's entitlements to the widow and to the veteran. The headstone for every veteran, that's a freebie. The government's going to do that. If you would like to be buried in a government cemetery or a veteran cemetery, that's done for free, even the transportation down. So if you wanted to go down to Des Moines, they'll provide the cost for the transportation for that body to be located there. What's unique about Des Moines also, it being a veterans cemetery, the wife could be buried there. Up to 4 people can be in one plot. So I think that's kind of nice. If the family wanted to be buried together, they could do that all in one. And so, yes, there is benefits for a widow.
How long after a veteran passes away should a widow or family members wait to make an inquiry as to any benefits they have coming? Maybe they don't know a thing about his benefits, or when should they contact your office or your staff?
As soon as possible. Sometimes we get it from the funeral home, but one thing that happens is the funeral home sends us a grave marker, a grave mark saying that we had a service member pass, a veteran pass. And the one thing that we do is once we get that grave certificate, we'll send that widow, and in some cases it might be a male because we do have female veterans. We'll send that family member a letter requesting, just saying, hey, we're sending our condolences, and if you need any support from us, please contact us. We got our address and our numbers down there. Please contact us because you might be entitled to benefits.
One of the more recent issues with veterans, especially Vietnam veterans, is Agent Orange.
Yeah.
And people who probably were exposed, veterans who were exposed to Agent Orange, they have benefits coming to them that they might know of. How do you get them to come in and say I was exposed to veteran or Agent Orange, and let them find out how much benefits they have coming?
So that's good. So Waverly was a good starting point with that seminar about Agent Orange, so that it brings veterans in and get them knowledgeable in what may be they entitled to. The other thing is the partnerships that we have at the hospital and the clinics. If the guys are being diagnosed with what we call a presumptive illness, we can tie it back to Agent Orange, and the clinic and the hospital will then send them to a veteran service officer so that they can put in for that benefit.
Do you send, speaking of the clinics, do you send veterans from your office to the Waterloo VA clinic, or do they go directly to Iowa City, the VA hospital, for physicals, tests, whatever, surgeries?
So it depends, Tom, on what it is that the veteran is looking for. Now, the outpatient clinic here in Waterloo, they're fantastic facilities. They can do some things, but they're limited. And so in their scope, if they can't do it, they'll send them to Iowa City. And in that standpoint, if Iowa City can't do it, they'll outsource it to a private doctor.
Okay. Not to skip around too much, but I'd like to go back to the process of how you got selected as the Veterans Affairs Director. What was that process? And tell me a little bit about the commission that you work with, and from that point.
So yeah, there is a Veterans Commission. It's headed up by 5 members, all veterans. And the unique thing about that commission is it's made up of all the warfare areas. So you have a Vietnam veteran, you'll have a Gulf War veteran, you may have a Cold War veteran, you could have a Korea veteran. So we're a commission of 5 that makes up that. And what happened was when Kevin's unfortunate illness came, the job came open, and there was an abundant amount of people who applied for that job. We all were interviewed by the commission, and to include a member of the Board of Supervisors who was on that interview process. And throughout the process of elimination, Yolando was selected, and I'm honored to be in this position. And then as I was selected, then I went before the Board of Supervisors who actually grant that position. And so I was able to.
If I'm not mistaken, I think there was about 15 applicants for that position. I don't want to embarrass you, but I understand your wife was one of the applicants. Can you tell me just a little quick bio of your wife, Chiquita? She was a Navy vet. I'll kill that for you.
Yeah, she was a Navy vet. She did 23 years in the Navy as a Chief Warrant Officer. She retired. She's currently the Veterans Advocate at UNI. She says she loves her job. But that job came open, and so, yes, me and Chiquita's been competitive our whole military. We've been married 31 years, and I don't think there's nothing that Yolando does that she don't try to outdo, and nothing Chiquita does that I don't try to outdo. And that just keeps us young.
Well, I'm glad that y'all still get along. And I also want to mention that you report to the Black Hawk County supervisors via the commission, and then, of course, everybody reports to the taxpayers. But
That is true.
I think you get a lot of support from the supervisors for the veterans in Cedar Valley, especially through your office. And I hope that that will continue with your performance in the years to come. And I want to just try to mention some of the activities that we have coming up for the veterans veterans during the summer, for example. You want to talk about that real quick?
Well, yeah, sure, John. So about mid-May, I think our first flyer that we have out on our post is May 16th will be our first picnic in the park. We're going to do that down at Lincoln. Lincoln, unfortunately, is going to get some renovation here in late July, early August. So we get to come up and bring that out to Cedar Falls, and we're looking forward to doing that because that's a great park that you guys have out in Cedar Falls.
It's an amazing park, and it was all done with veterans' help and the city of Cedar Falls and a lot of volunteers. And we were happy to have them last year, and I believe this year you've corralled us into having 2 of them due to Lincoln Park's construction, and we're glad to have it. We want to show the park off. So before we end up the program, Yolando, I want to ask you again to tell veterans how to get in touch with you at the office.
So a veteran can get in touch with us several ways. They can, on our Black Hawk County webpage, they can go search under Black Hawk County under veterans, and then there's an email and a phone number there and address. They can also stop by 1407 Independence Avenue on the first floor, and we'll happily set them up for an appointment or walk in. Our phone number, if they don't have it, is 319-291-2512. You give us a call, we'll set up an appointment there. We're looking to service any veteran that is in need, and we look forward to some of the things that we're going to do this summer.
Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of our program, and I want to again congratulate you on your selection as our director of the Veterans Affairs Office for Black Hawk County. I want to thank you for being here today to share your experience and your efforts for veterans, and I look forward to working with you for the years to come. And I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in to watch this program, and come back again next time. We'll have another show with another veterans topic. Thank you very much.